Hi, everyone. Welcome to the demo day today about presented by the Student Basic Needs Coalition. Really excited that everyone who's hopped on has been able to join us today. Uh, Earlier, we mentioned we will be sending out a recording. So if you're not able to stay on the whole time, or want to send any of this information over to a colleague, you'll have the recording as well as a bunch of different links and resources that further explain what we will be covering today. But really, really excited that everyone is joining us today to talk about Navvy, our benefits navigation tool. Uh, and yeah, we'll give it another 1 minute before we get started. Great. Well, it looks like most people are pretty much on that we expected. Again, for folks that are just joining, uh, we will be sending out a recording and a follow-up email to everyone who registered for the presentation today. So feel free to take notes, but you'll get all this information again in more detail in your inbox, hopefully later today or tomorrow. But really, really excited to uh, get started here. So it looks like I should be sharing my screen, but we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. So for introductions, I'll go ahead and start and then pass it to my colleagues, Paige and Alexis, to introduce themselves. But my name is Owen Tanner Flomberg. I am one of the co-founders and co-executive directors of the Student Basic Needs Coalition. We'll talk a little bit more about SBNC here in a minute and the work that we do and how we can partner to enhance your campus programs. But I'll pass it over to Paige.
Hi, everyone. So great to see so many familiar names here. My name is Paige, and I'm the other co-founder, co-executive director of the Student Basic Needs Coalition. And we're really excited to share this with you today.
Hi, y'all. My name is Alexis Newman. I am the campus program manager for the Student Basic Needs Coalition. So a lot of what I do is managing relationships with the students and staff and institutions that partner with us. So super, super excited to be here today to hopefully get to connect with all of you, and to chat more about what our future relationships will look like. Thanks for being here.
Wonderful. So we are, a small but mighty team, and there's a few other folks that work with us to manage our programs across the country. But if you haven't worked with us before, you'll see kind of all of our faces and names in your inbox and on calls like this. And if you have worked with us before, I'm sorry that you have to hear from us again. Um, but we'll go ahead and kick it off here and talk a little bit first about SBNC, our Student Basic Needs Coalition, our organization. So we are a national nonprofit that works to address college student food, housing, and other basic needs and securities. And we do that in a variety of ways. And today we're going to talk primarily about our new, more advanced benefit screener tool that will called Navvy. And that's what you signed up for to listen about today. And we'll kind of talk about a little bit more about benefits. I know some folks here have a lot of experience helping students access benefits such as SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Access Program. And I know some folks on here may not have a lot of experience, but may be wanting to bring SNAP registration and connecting students to that benefit and other benefits that are out there by expanding the offerings that they may have in their Dean of Students office, I know we have a lot of folks from those kind of offices at different universities on the call today. We've got a lot of folks that are involved with campus food pantries or basic needs hubs. The offerings that we have related to Navvy are a great complement to any program that you all may be involved in that is related to student basic needs access, college affordability, retention, health and wellness. There are a lot of practical applications of using our tools to connect students to benefits. Um, we are, like I said, a national nonprofit dedicated to addressing the student basic needs crisis by tackling food, housing, and financial insecurities among college students and really leveraging scalable programs like Navvy to get them embedded into your programs to make your life easier, your programs more powerful, and help more students access their basic needs and ultimately not be forced to choose between eating and dropping out of school. Because ultimately, our big goal at the end of the day is to make sure as many students remain enrolled through graduation as possible. We focus on a few different things. Our campus education. So we run a lot of educational programming. We have a collection of student chapters across the country. I think some of them are on this call as well. We do advocacy work, working with students and administrators in states across the country to work to implement common sense policy reforms at the state and campus level to ensure that students have better access to their basic needs. And then finally, we do a lot around SNAP enrollment, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Our mission is to really empower student leaders and administrators nationwide to advocate and implement for these solutions, these scalable solutions that we've developed to address the student basic needs crisis and foster a more financially inclusive and equitable system of higher education. So, like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about SNAP because that is what our tool Navvy is designed to help with, helping students find out if they're eligible for SNAP, as well as help them enroll. So just to take a step back, like I said at the beginning of the call, we know that some of you are coming in here with a lot of experience working with SNAP and working to connect students to that resource. And then some of you all may have not had the capacity currently or don't have the capacity currently to do a lot of this work. So we're going to take a little bit of a step back. Some of this is going to be a big refresher for some folks, but we just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page about the program and its potential impact. So first, what is SNAP? So the purpose of SNAP is it provides financial assistance for purchasing food for low-income households. It's not specifically a program for college students or young people. It's a benefit that is used by a wide array of folks across our society and is one of is really the premier anti-hunger program established by the US federal government. Uh, Funding for SNAP, like I said, it's a federal program, so it's federally funded and administered by the US Department of Agriculture. And it's actually state agencies and local county agencies that actually uh, receive applications for the benefit and do the enrolling and doling out of the cash to individuals. Um, Eligibility for SNAP is based on income, household size, and certain expenses like the amount that an individual may be paying for housing, like for their rent, for example, factors into whether or not someone's eligible for SNAP and how much SNAP in quantity of dollars they may be eligible for. But specific criteria can vary from state to state, and it gets especially confusing for college students because there's a lot of discretion that states have in administering SNAP as a program, that some states, a student that's eligible in one state, an identical student in another state may not be eligible. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So benefits distribution. So when the state or county doles out cash to or SNAP money to a student or individual or household, funds are loaded on what's called electronic benefits card or EBT card. It works like a debit card at authorized retailers. And folks can use SNAP dollars to buy eligible food items, including fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, bread. However, it cannot be used for alcohol, tobacco, vitamins, or hot prepared foods. So you can't go to Chipotle, for example, and use SNAP dollars in most circumstances. I will also flag we are painting with a broad brush here. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of variation from state to state in how SNAP is run and administered and how it works. We're giving kind of the general advice that's applicable and general information that's applicable across the country, but there is some variation from state to state. So bear with me if I say something that doesn't apply to your state in particular, because I know we've got a lot of some SNAP experts on here that know a lot about how it works. So next, what we'll talk about here is the SNAP gap. So basically, around 1 in 3 college students are eligible to receive SNAP benefits. However, approximately 70% of eligible students are not enrolled in SNAP. And I know some folks on this call are already well aware of this issue, but other folks that may have not haven't much experience working with SNAP in their office of a university may or probably will find these statistics shocking, because basically there are a ton of students out there that are eligible for help and are not receiving it because they're not getting connected to these benefits. So the next question you're probably asking yourself is, why does this SNAP gap exist? Why do so many students that are eligible for SNAP uh, not accessing the benefit? So there is some research out there, and I have a diagram based off of Hope Center research that found kind of the main reasons why students experiencing food insecurity did not use campus supports or access SNAP by different reasons. And it's split up by 2-year institutions and 4-year institutions. So the most common reason, and we hear this all the time in our work working to enroll students, the direct work that we do, students do not think they're eligible because the eligibility requirements are so confusing, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in a minute. The next most common reason is, and this is a huge one that Navvy is really designed to overcome, um, is students think that other people need these programs more than themselves, so they choose not to apply. And just to dispel any confusion, that's not the case. SNAP, as a federal program, does not work that way. The funding is there for SNAP. Um, we when someone applies and receives SNAP, it doesn't limit the size of the funds available for SNAP. It's there. Um, there's not a limited number of people that can receive SNAP effectively. So that is not a concern that students should be concerned with. And we really try to combat that through Navvy and some of our other resources. Other common reasons are, I don't know how to apply. I did not know that, these programs existed or were available. Um, Then some folks, indicate that they don't feel like they need the programs, they feel embarrassed to apply. And that really fits under kind of the category of stigma. There's a lot of stigma associated with applying for benefits, like SNAP or Medicaid. And students are deterred from doing so because of that stigma, and that's something that we really work to address. Um, so that's kind of why the SNAP gap exists. But to start to put some numbers on it, the impact of SNAP on an individual student, if they're receiving it, can be huge. So an individual or a student can be eligible for up to $292 a month. Um, and when they're not enrolled in SNAP, that money is just being left on the table. It's not going anywhere. So we there's really a huge clear financial benefit to getting students enrolled because that's a lot of cash and can buy a lot of groceries. Now, will this solve food insecurity or financial insecurity for that student? No, I don't think that that is fair to say. And I think it's, as many of you on the call know, financial insecurity among college students is very complicated. But this can be a huge tool to help students be able to better sustain the bumps in the road that they face. Like if they, get in have some car trouble and are having trouble getting to work, knowing that a lot of their groceries can be covered by SNAP can really, keep that student in a better spot and prevent them from being as at risk from dropping out of school because of those bumps in the road. But what this adds up to is if a student's getting the full allotment that they're potentially eligible for, that's $3,500 a year that a student can receive from SNAP. Now, not every student receives the max amount, or not every individual receives the max amount, but this is the high end of the spectrum of what a student could potentially be eligible for. And $3,500 may not sound like a ton of money, but that's huge, as many of you know, with the students that you work with, that this can be really life-changing. And 70% of the students that are eligible for this are not enrolled. So why close the gap? So there's an interesting article that came out a couple days ago that we wanted to highlight that looked at CalFresh, which is what California, I know we've got some California folks on the call here, what California calls SNAP. And a lot of different states have different names for SNAP. So if you're like, I haven't ever heard of SNAP, your state might call it a different name. But essentially, what the study found, the Public Policy Institute of California calculated that University of California undergrads living on campus and enrolled in CalFresh or SNAP could see their financial burden typically decline by more than 50%. That's huge. That can make a huge impact in a student's life and make them much more financially resilient to handle any sort of bumps that they may encounter in the road. So they're not choosing or not as pressured to potentially not continue their education. Research also quantified that the potential financial benefits of UC students enrolled in Medi-Cal, the Medicaid equivalent in California, uh, since the University of California requires students to buy a health care plan, which many of the institutions that you all are coming from also require students to buy a health care plan. But by enrolling in Medi-Cal, UC students can waive their UC insurance and get that $3,600 refunded to them. And this model is available in other states as well. And our Navvy screener also screens for Medicaid, even though mainly today we're talking about SNAP. So why use Navvy? So first off, we want you to try it out. So if you've got your phone on you, you can uh, scan this QR code and you'll be brought to the Navvy tool. And I encourage you, I hope you keep listening to me talk here, but definitely try it out, start playing around on it. And when you get to the point where it asks you for what university you're with, there should be an option called Monsters University. You can click on that so it doesn't mess up any of the data for other schools. If it doesn't include that, click Other and then just indicate the school that you're from. But we use the Monster University school as kind of the demo school when we're playing around on the screener. But the tool that hopefully you've scanned the QR code and gotten to should look something like this. Uh, and it should be optimized for mobile as well. So this is what a screenshot of what it looks like on uh, a desktop or a laptop, but it's optimized for mobile as well and looks nice and neat if you scanned it on your phone. So what Navvy does, it's kind of got three parts to it. And there are different levels of the tool. The tool that you're looking at right now is totally free, and we want every school in the country to be using this. There are some more advanced options that can be added, and we'll talk about those in a minute, and there's some costs associated with those. But we'll talk about how we can work to limit those costs for institutions and how we can work together to get this tool in front of more students on your campus. But that eligibility screener is huge, and what it does is, as I've alluded to, it screens within 5 to 10 minutes whether or not a student is potentially eligible for SNAP and Medicaid. Um, the next part of Navvy, in a more advanced option for the tool, if you so choose to get that implemented on your campus, is direct application. So, like the earlier graph showed, one of the big reasons why students may not end up applying for these benefits is they don't know how, or it's too confusing. Because I know some states have really great websites and forms that people can use to apply for these benefits, but a lot of states don't. And it's very, very confusing. The websites are not pretty. We've looked at them all. And basically through Navvy is the idea is, and how the tool works is if a student screens as eligible for these benefits, they can apply for the benefits straight through Navvy, and then their application is sent over to the appropriate agency. So it's really, really cool. It makes it lowers a lot of barriers for students accessing the benefit. And then finally, the third big component to Navvy is secure data insights. So we built this tool over the past couple months, and we wanted to make sure that everything in this tool is compliant with U.S. Department of Education and federal guidelines as it relates to data privacy and student data privacy, because that is very sensitive data. And we wanted to make sure that this tool was secure to use and compliant with all federal laws related to that kind of data. So Navvy is already optimized for that and ready to be implemented on campuses. And so that's kind of the first part, is that the data is secure. The second part of this is the data is really profound on what you can learn about your campus. So basically, if you sign up to work with us and get Navvy implemented on your campus, you have the option of getting a dashboard, and there's layers of advancement that we can add to that dashboard. But essentially, what the dashboard will tell you is who's interacting with the screener, what students in particular, like the contact information and name of the students, but also why are they eligible? Why is each person eligible? Under what exemption? And we'll talk about those in a minute, because SNAP eligibility is very confusing for students. But you'll find out why they're eligible for SNAP, whether or not they've applied, um, if they've been denied, and if we suspect that they've been denied inappropriately, that gets flagged in the system. And also, you'll be able to see the um, down to the dollar, an estimated total of the impact of using the tool on your campus. So you're able to see, um, how many dollars have students have been connected to. And what we find is that this will be a really great way to be able to communicate with your supervisors and departments in your wider university or college community to talk about uh, why more resources and effort should be put into enrolling students in these benefits. So, like I said, SNAP for students is very confusing. And here is a simplified diagram that kind of shows you how students are potentially eligible for SNAP. Now, I don't expect you, I'm sure that the text is kind of small on here because, like I said, it's a very confusing process. But basically, students are categorically ineligible for SNAP. They are not eligible for SNAP unless they fit into one of the exemptions. And there's a bunch of different exemptions. The most common exemptions in which students are eligible for SNAP is that they are working 20 hours or more a week, or they're enrolled in work study. Other exemptions that are more common is in lots of circumstances when a student is a parent, they're potentially eligible for that exemption. But there's a bunch of other exemptions, and the federal government does not communicate these that well. Most states do not communicate these well on websites. So, like the actual figuring out if you're eligible or if a student is eligible is quite the process. And Navvy simplifies it all, asks the students a few questions through that screener, and figures out with a very, very, very high degree of certainty whether or not that student's potentially eligible, so that they are, because what we found talking to students is they don't want to apply for the benefit unless they're sure that they've got a good shot of getting it, because it takes time and effort to do that. Uh, so positive screener through Navvy really gives students the confidence to apply for these benefits that they are already often feeling uncomfortable and anxious about, and feeling that stigma, even making that jump to apply in the first place. So now we'll talk about the different tiers of Navvy. So there's a few different tiers, like I said. There's a free option, and then there's some more advanced tools that schools can purchase, and we can work with schools to figure out a way to get you using some of these more advanced tools and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But there's three tiers: intro, essentials, and impact. So the first tier is the intro tier. And like I said, this is totally free. You'll have the opportunity to sign up and say that you're interested in getting this today. But the intro tier gives you that generic eligibility screener. So that screener that some of you all may be still using as I'm talking and playing around with. That screener we can provide for your campus, provide your campus, university or college in that drop-down menu, so that students can indicate that that's the university that they're enrolled in. And we can get you into Navvy very, very quickly and get you that screener to start using. The next thing that comes with the intro tier, which is really cool, like what I was talking about, is that data dashboard. So we'll be able to provide you updates every 2 weeks or twice monthly of the total that you have unlocked for students on your campus, the number of students that have accessed the screener, and some generalized statistics about how it's going. Uh, the next thing that comes with the intro tier is everyone that signs up will set up an initial call with either myself or Paige or Alexis or Leanne or someone else from our team to kind of go over the tool, answer any questions that you have, and help you make a plan on how to use it effectively. Because we've learned a lot over the past couple years doing this work on how to best reach students and the communications to use to help address some of those concerns like stigma that students face in potentially looking at their eligibility for programs like this. And then finally, with the intro tier, you will get invitations to community virtual events, strategy sessions, convenings like this that are much more, they're over Zoom, but much more interactive, not webinar style. Some will be webinar style, but more opportunities to talk with other members of our community. Next is the essentials tier. So that's everything in the free tier. But you get some additional things that go along with it. So the first thing that's additional is the creation of a dedicated eligibility screener site. So basically, that intro screen that you saw when you access the screener for the first time, we can customize that for your campus, integrate it with the marketing and logo and everything for your campus food pantry or basic needs center or really any unit of your campus. And we can do all sorts of custom branding, such as the logos, colors, text, a unique URL, stuff like that. The next big thing that it comes with is twice a year, you'll have the opportunity to schedule a 45-minute consultation to go over the results that you're getting from your screener, how to optimize your outreach and try to reach more students and use the tool even more effectively. And then you will also get a twice a year with that consultation, an impact report that you can use in your communications with your department and with your other units of your university to talk about the impact that you're having in working to use Navvy to enroll students in benefits. And then the final big thing on the essentials tier is you get additional continuous monitoring of rejections. So what we have found is sometimes students that are totally eligible for SNAP will apply, do everything correctly, and then they get denied for the benefit. So Navvy does a lot of follow-up with folks that screen eligible to make sure that they were able to get their application in, ask them through automated messaging if they need any help and guide them to additional resources and instructions. But it also kind of at the end of, or towards the end of the relationship that Navvy has with a particular student, it will ask if they've gotten rejected, if they submitted their application and if they got rejected. And what we have found is a lot of times these rejections are mistakes that these departments are making and that are administering SNAP. And we can work with that department to ensure that that student gets the benefit that they are entitled to, as well as prevent that from happening again in the future. And then finally, the impact tier, the highest tier is everything in the other tiers, but we are able to calibrate, customize automatic student surveys, additional data reporting, and additional evaluation. And we can also integrate the screener into, I know a lot of folks on the call here use some sort of CRM, like a Salesforce or PantrySoft, to work to manage cases of students with financial insecurity that may be interacting with your office. We can basically integrate Navvy into that tool so that whenever students are screening as eligible or ineligible or interacting with the tool, we can get that data to go seamlessly into your CRM. But yeah, so that is the different tiers. The pricing and more information about those will be in the email that comes out later today. And But the second part of the pricing that we wanted to highlight today is the direct application pricing. So direct applications, like I mentioned earlier, are the tool that's integrated into Navvy that allows a student to automatically apply for SNAP or Medicaid if they're eligible. straight through the Navvy app without going to a different website, without going to a different form. And as you can imagine, this makes it a lot easier for students and definitely helps the conversion rate from when a student is screened as eligible to actually enrolling. So there are some usage fees that go along with direct applications, and roughly it works out to be about $25 per student. Um, uh, we have here an illustration of how much certain, size packs of applications cost. So if you were to buy 100 applications to basically enroll 100 students in SNAP, that would cost about $2,500, $25 an application, but that would connect students to about $240,000 worth of aid. So as you can see, there's a huge multiplier effect to these applications, because if a student screens as eligible, and then we send over their application and they get accepted, they're eligible for up to $3,500 a year. Um, so you'll see here, we're very, very customizable. We know every campus is a different size and has a different budget. And ultimately, our goal as a nonprofit is to get this tool on as many campuses as we possibly can, because ultimately, that's what we exist to do. So one thing that we want to highlight, we'll send more information about this in the follow-up email, is about our grant partnership. So we know everybody's coming at it with a different budget. Some folks have a big budget that they can invest in, adding extra tools to their campus department that they represent. And then other schools do not have any extra cash or extra budget to buy like the direct applications and things of that nature. We have worked with schools in the past to apply with them for funding from community foundations and other organizations to get the cost of different tools and services covered. And we are happy to do that with any of you all that are interested. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, we want the free tool, we'll use that, but there's no way we're ever going to be able to come up with funding to cover any of the more advanced options. We will, really bend over backwards to try to help and find a way to get funding for your campus to get some of those more advanced tools, because we believe it really does have a big impact on students and their enrollment and their ultimate graduation. The next thing we wanted to highlight is if you sign up, I feel like I'm like a infomercial. If you sign up today, you can, or whenever you sign up, you can request on the form to sign up to get the free screener for us to send you a starter pack. And what that starter pack will include is a bunch of posters that you can put up around your campus, and they'll kind of look like this. We have a few different options, and they'll have a QR code that leads to the screener. So that students on your campus can, see the poster, scan the QR code, and it'll bring them to the link, and they're able to fill it out and figure out if they're eligible. We've done a lot of testing of different posters on different campuses to see which are the most effective and which messaging on these posters works the best. We typically, in a lot of our messaging, find that, and in the focus groups that we've had with students, find that talking about the dollar amount instead of saying, hey, you could potentially be eligible for SNAP, is a lot more appealing because it grabs students' attention a lot more. And ultimately gets more people finding out that they're eligible for SNAP. It's not that we hide the ball through the whole process. They find out very quickly that that's what they're being screened for as part of the screener. But really helps to kind of overcome a lot of that stigma, because a lot of students don't know what SNAP is, and or feel too much stigma in actually applying. Additionally, with the posters, we'll send a gift card with the posters, because we know that all of you are very, very busy and don't have time to run around, potentially don't have time to run around your campus and put up a bunch of posters. So the idea behind this gift card is to be able to send that or give that to a student, and ask them or conscript a student that you know to go put those posters up around campus and give them a little bit of thanks for spending their time helping their peers. But we would love to send lots of these out in the coming weeks here. So really excited. I hope lots of people request these. Great. And then the final thing that we wanted to highlight, in addition to Navvy, is a new program that we are launching this upcoming academic year. It's called our Peer Navigator Grant Program. And basically what this is we'll accept applications on a rolling basis, but the earlier you apply, the better. The grant amount is it's for $2,500. It comes out to be an estimated uh, 2250 per student that gets eventually hired as a peer navigator, an additional $250 for additional supplies in doing their outreach effort. And what this money goes towards, and what the vision for this money is we have experience over the past year and a half running what some of you may have on your campus already, or something similar, called peer uh, navigators. And basically, peer navigators, the idea behind a peer navigator is that students are the best messengers in working to enroll and inform students about SNAP and other potential benefits that students are eligible for. So we have a whole curriculum and a program that we've run on a bunch of different campuses. I know some of these campuses are on the call today. Um, and basically what we've done is work with those campuses to hire peer navigators, provided some funding for that, so that your office, if you're a basic needs hub or office or dean of students office or campus food pantry, to have a little extra help in outreaching to students, communicating with students on their level, and getting that link and that screener in front of more students on your campus. So we're really excited about this, and hope that lots of people are interested and end up applying. And obviously, this is a quick overview of what the program is. There's more details, but if you're interested, we'll send those along. So the final thing that we wanted to cover with Navvy is we're actually have an even more advanced version of Navvy that we are in the process of developing. And what this more advanced tier will do is integrate with student data on your campus, like FAFSA data, to identify potentially eligible students automatically. So a lot about how Navvy works, and a lot how SNAP enrollment or Medicaid enrollment works is you're doing a lot of marketing and outreach, and trying to get people to screen themselves and find that they're eligible, and then help them enroll. This more advanced version of Navvy cuts all the marketing kind of out, all that manual marketing that you have to do. And it identifies with a high degree of certainty students that are already likely eligible for SNAP, and informs them directly of their potential eligibility. And then it has them answer a few questions, and then sends over their application automatically as a direct application, as we were talking about earlier. We as part of the more advanced AI fueled tier that's under development, we're looking for folks who are potentially interested in piloting this for free on their campus. And we know this is a great audience of folks that may be interested in doing that. We have a few campuses that we are already signed up to pilot with right now, but would love more. and would love more to join the wait list so that we can uh, work to strengthen this tool, make it better, and apply it on your campus. And the effects will be very dramatic in the amount of money that you're able to connect students to. So we're really excited about this. This is still, like I said, under development. We're working with some pilot schools right now, but looking for more to sign up. So uh, in uh, in the further information that we'll be providing, you will be able to indicate your interest in potentially piloting that on your campus. So right now I've got a QR code up here. That's the sign up form, and that's where you can sign up to potentially bring uh, Navvy to your campus and let us know if you're interested in the different paid options. If you have a budget for that, if you don't have a budget for that, there's a way to indicate that you're interested in having us help you explore some funding options through the grant assistance that I mentioned earlier. But definitely fill out this link. We'll send it out via email. I don't know if we can throw it in the chat here. Um, but great. I think that's all the slides that we have today and just some time for questions and answers. I know we've gotten some questions in the Q&A. Uh, Paige or Lex, anything that you want to highlight of questions that we've gotten?
Nothing from me. Happy to open the floor to any lingering questions. I am dropping the link to the form in the chat right now.
I think, Owen, it might be helpful if you want to highlight like how the direct application works. So it looks like we had a couple of different questions about that. Um,
Yes, that's great. So yeah, you probably do have some questions about of how that works. So to preface, we are not, or at least myself, I am not a tech developer. I'm a lawyer. I help the tech team code the rules and make sure that we're accurately screening folks for their potential eligibility, given all the different rules that different states have. But our screener works across the country and DC, and is properly calibrated for that. But I just want to preface, I am not a tech person. Um, I do not build the tool, but the way that it works in the simplified way that I understand it, and the way that looking under the hood, the way that it works is when a student is screened as eligible, throughout the screener form, they're answering a bunch of questions. Some of those questions are questions that an application for SNAP requires. So questions about their income, their name, things like that that are being asked about in the screener. Those are questions that need to be answered for the actual application for SNAP, for example. So what happens is those answers are then auto-populated onto an application for SNAP. And then there are some additional questions that are not asked in the screener that need to be answered in order for an application to be complete and ready to send over to the appropriate state or local entity. So after a student screens is eligible, and if they are directly applying through Navvy, all of those questions we already have the answers to get auto-populated, and the Navvy will ask the remaining questions, just like how you were answering questions through the screener. And then those answers get put onto the application, and then it's compiled in a PDF form and then sent over to the state. And makes it all easy so the student doesn't have to print anything out. It's all kind of done in one seamless workflow. And I know a lot of different like basic needs centers or food pantries on campuses or equivalent offices. Sometimes we'll have a student come in and figure out that needs help. They'll spend a meeting screening that student for different programs like SNAP, and then they have the student basically go back, compile the materials that they need, and then come back into the office again for another appointment and help them actually apply. This kind of cuts all that back and forth out and allows students on their own time, because the students that need this the most have the least flexibility in their schedules to sign up for like consultation meetings in offices. And as a lot of you all know, um, uh, I don't know why the thumbs up thing keeps happening to me, but um, yeah, so hopefully that answers the questions there. I think we had a question in here is like, does this integrate directly with these state agencies? Um, they uh, there are some similar tools that exist, and this is just like a common practice um, of sending over these applications like that, where there's not really similar tools for like a student context. But there's some other tools in other contexts that do things similar. These agencies are familiar with getting applications like this, and they have to accept them under law. But more advanced iterations of Navvy in states that are open to it will more directly integrate with their data systems as well. Any other questions that we're seeing in the chat here?
Do either of you have the data on hand for the results of the pilot schools or any of that information? Someone put that in the chat, which I know
Uh,
from that previous presentation. But maybe we can send that out.
yes, yeah. So we'll send that out um, with the email. That's a great question to whoever asked that. So you all can kind of see. But I know we've got some questions about price and fees. If you're interested in using this service, we're going to do everything we can to find a way to get you using it, especially if you're interested in using some of the more advanced features, because we want campuses doing this. We're a nonprofit organization. There's just some costs that have to be covered to actually administer this program. So that's why there are some fees for different parts of this service. But um, we're very flexible, and we understand that there's a wide array of universities on this call. I know there's private 4 years, public 4 years, community colleges, um, schools that do a lot of online learning on this call. Um, if you're interested in using this, we will work with you and try to find a way to get as many tools as possible that you're interested in implemented on your campus. So really encourage you to fill out that interest form.
I also wanted to flag, it looked like someone asked about the potential for doing additional presentations of this for like internal stakeholders of different school systems. So we're happy to do that too.
Yes.
School's part of a system. We're happy to talk to more people from there or whoever the decision makers are of the system as well.
Great. Well, if there's no other big questions, we'll go ahead and give people some time back in their afternoon. Really, really appreciate everybody hopping on and listening to our presentation here. We really hope we'll have the opportunity to work with a lot of you all in the coming weeks and months. And really appreciate it again. And we will be sending way more information out to you all in the coming days. But thanks again for everyone hopping on. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk to you soon.